You're about to experience the top 8 most legendary ideas and concepts that will change Minecraft forever, and these ideas will make you excited for the future of Minecraft. These visionary concepts were discovered on forums, subreddits, comments, and many I came up with myself. Plus, all these intriguing ideas will maintain the RPG and fantasy feel of vanilla Minecraft. Disclaimer, this video is not a critique of Mojang or the game Minecraft, as I wholeheartedly love the game and this is all in good faith. With that said, let's get right into it. Now before we begin, I have 3 quick questions for you. Just tell me what you think when you see each visual. As you all know, this is obviously the Wither boss, but did you know it was the last boss added into Minecraft 9 years ago? Next. Now this of course is netherite armor and gear, but what's the point of even having netherite if you can kill the ender dragon with nothing on and a couple of beds?
Let's go!
Last one. We're all too familiar with this one, a crazy amount of XP and the only thing you can do with it is enchant stuff. Ultimately, this list of ideas will try and solve these types of problems. So the very first idea is to add more bosses. Specifically, what if each I've entered you had to attain was a boss you had to kill? Now some might argue this is too much, so instead I did every other eye. In this case, the first boss would be found in the Woodland Mansion. It would give incentive for players to gear up and venture on a journey to find one. It would also actually be rewarding, exciting, and not so anticlimactic like the way it is now. I mean, think about it, the loot for the Woodland Mansion is not that good, and a structure like that deserves a boss. Now I'm thinking either a giant berserker vindicator or a mage evoker. Or maybe they can just add the illusioner. The other Eye of Ender would be from a boss from the deep scary underground. Perhaps a warden could drop one. Now I know that Mojang designed the warden in a way where the player is not meant to kill it, but nonetheless this would be a great and challenging concept, as it would encourage the player to really gear up and would especially give netherite a run for its money. Thirdly would be a nether boss. I mean, Mojang, come on, how don't we have a nether dragon yet? If not a dragon, any sort of nether boss would give the dimension more of a dangerous aspect and make players think twice before entering just with iron armor. Maybe a lava golem can rise from the lava oceans, which would give them a more ominous feel. And for the last Eye of Ender, it could possibly come from the ocean monument. Specifically, the Elder Guardian would drop it. Overall, this would reinforce the concept of progression and again, give the player a purpose to gear up, journey, and battle. So once all 4 elemental Eyes of Ender are acquired along with the 8 normal ones, players will then be able to enter the end, further making the discovery of the Ender Dragon that much more epic. But to make this idea really come to life, Minecraft would have to make the Ender Dragon a much harder fight. I mean, come on, if speedrunners can easily defeat the dragon in minutes, then you know it's too easy. Some nifty abilities that they can add to increase the difficulty is number 1, mind control endermen to attack you. Number 2, fly really high and then dive down the player like a freaking falcon. Number 3, ground attacks like tail striking. And lastly, maybe at very low health, the Ender Dragon becomes furious and increased speed and strength. These are just a few ideas from the top of my head. All in all, I believe this entire concept will drastically improve the combat and adventure experience for Minecraft and will give players hours of more exciting content to look forward to. Speaking of bosses, another fascinating idea is to give the Wither 3 difficulties by spawning it in different dimensions. Firstly, spawning the Wither in the overworld would be the way it is now. Decently strong, but no changes at all. A boss you can easily defeat with diamond gear. Now the second tier would be spawning it in the nether. This would give you a more challenging, larger, and more powerful version of the Wither. A more reddish tint, glowing eyes, and different but dangerous fiery attacks to establish itself as no joke. Players would probably want a completely new set of armor with fire protection for this battle. Finally, the last and strongest tier of the Wither would be created when spawning it in the end. This would give you a 4-headed, purplish, spiked, and deadly boss known as the End Wither. This is a boss only one dares to fight with full enchanted netherite armor, as the chances of winning are extremely low. This beast would fire dark attacks that would blind the player with lots of damage, and if the player dies, all their belongings would be destroyed. But ultimately, the reward would be exceptional. Tons of XP, baby. Now, this leads us to the next insane concept. We have so much XP in late game, it's not even funny. The Ender Dragon alone drops 12,000 XP when slayed for the first time. So let's put this XP to use. I introduced you guys the Enchantment Table 2.0, crafted using 2 netherite stars, a book, and 4 crying obsidian blocks. Now, one would also need to add more bookshelves. It already takes 15 bookshelves for level 30, so let's say it would take 15 more, double the amount, 30 bookshelves. With our new setup, we would have level 60 enchantments. And you must be thinking to yourself, that's overpowered, what the heck? And to you I say, hold on a minute. These wouldn't be crazy overpowered enchantments, they would be simply better quality of life enchantments for late game. Firstly, tree capitation for the axe. Level 1 would be small trees, level 2 would be medium trees, level 3 would be large trees. Another cool enchantment would be auto seed replacement for the hoe. Any seed in the left hand would be automatically replanted when the hoe harvests a crop. Silk Touch 2 would harvest dungeon spawners. A reach enchantment for tools which would increase the mining range up to 3 blocks. Reach 1, 2, and 3. And lastly, a random but dumb one would be a lightning enchant for swords, which would give the sword a random chance of striking lightning on a mob. But that's not all, folks. A user on a Minecraft forum recommended that enchanting netherite armor should give a more reddish glint to it. I personally think it should be a golden glow, which would look way better. But this idea could apply to the enchantment table 2.0, a small but huge visual change that will establish great power on every single enchant. This leads us to one more fascinating idea for the enchantment table 2.0. A Reddit user suggested Elytra enchantments. He recommended 3 new enchants. Mach 1 to 3. This enchantment would simply increase the airspeed. Updraft. Maintain and keep more airspeed when you dive and fly back up. And lastly, Lift. Stay in the air longer if you're looking up. I think these are all fantastic additions to the game, and Mojang can balance this in a way where the user can only have 1 or 2 of these enchants on their Elytra. With this sweet new enchanted Elytra, you can explore faster and possibly find mysterious and challenging dungeons and structures, which introduces us to something new, but also something that can be easily added. Suggested by another Reddit user, I give you a raided village. Similar to an abandoned village that is ran by zombies, the raided village will be ran by pillagers, with ravager pens, banners everywhere, enslaved villagers, and a whole lot of pillagers, evokers, and vindicators who have conquered this poor and unfortunate village. It would give the player an extremely hard fight to clear out the village, but if one manages to do so, the reward is great. The player would get a hero of the village buff, but for a shorter amount of time than the raid. And I'm thinking a chest in the middle of the village with a chance of having an enchanted golden apple. The player can also receive an achievement for this, which once again incentivizes exploration. But now, let's say you found an insane trait from a villager, or an extremely rare pink sheep, and you want to bring it back to your home base. Unfortunately, you are quite far away, and we all know how much of a pain it is to transfer mobs across long distances. Well, fear not. This is where the horse carriage comes in. Not only does it make horses useful again in late game, but it makes transporting blocks, items, supplies, and mobs a whole lot easier. Azteca carts by MenoMax and Paul101 perfectly demonstrates this. Additionally, if this was added into Minecraft, I would like to see the ability for a player to tie up to 4 horses to maximize their plowing power and speed. This concept will give reason to players to go out and find the best possible horses instead of ditching your horse once you get an Elytra. A horse cart would just add perfect utility to the game. Alright, so you use the horse cart to bring home your newly found goods. Right when you pull up to your base, you notice that it's starting to get very dark. Eventually, the night sky is illuminated with a red glow. You've soon realized that you're currently experiencing a blood moon. A blood moon is a rare event that can occur every 50 days or by random chance, in which the player cannot sleep. In addition, mobs spawn in hordes, are more hostile, and have armor and weapons. This would have very similar mechanics, just like a zombie siege, in which zombies attack villages regardless of light levels. I believe this concept of the blood moon would give players an exciting and thrilling moments in their worlds. Furthermore, hardcore players would not be able to avoid this confrontation and would be forced to defend and survive the night. Well, this concludes the list of fascinating concepts that are insane but nonetheless interesting. Please make sure to comment below any thoughts, opinions, recommendations of your own, or criticism to the list, just so that we can keep sparking new ideas. And by some crazy low chance that someone from Mojang watches this, please make sure to add some of these ideas. But in all seriousness, I hope you guys enjoy this one, and I would appreciate if you click the like button to show your support for epic Minecraft content. Lastly, if you can also subscribe, I promise you I will not disappoint you with the content. I only post quality stuff here, and will bless your subscription box with a beautiful piece of content every now and then. With all that being said, thank you so much for watching once again, and I'll see you next time.